Michael Carter was only 32, but life had already taken him through every shade of struggle and triumph a man could imagine. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with neatly kept brown hair, a trimmed beard, and sharp gray eyes that now carried the confidence of someone who had built an empire from the ground up. But it hadn't always been that way. In high school, Michael had been labeled the poor kid, the janitor's son, and even crueler names whispered behind his back because his mother was black and worked as a maid. His classmates never let him forget that he didn't fit into their perfect, polished world. They laughed at his worn-out sneakers. They sneered when he brought homemade lunches wrapped in foil instead of brand-name cafeteria food. Some even told him outright that he would never make it out. But Michael had made it out. He had worked 2 jobs while studying finance, clawed his way into the business world, and eventually built a successful real estate company. Today, he was a millionaire with luxury cars, a penthouse in the city, and a reputation as a man who could turn dust into gold. Yet beneath all the money and polished suits, Michael never forgot where he came from, or the woman who sacrificed everything for him. Gloria Carter, Michael's mother, was in her late 50s. She was a beautiful black woman with soft, dark skin that glowed despite years of hardship, and warm brown eyes that held both love and quiet strength. Gloria had been both mother and father to Michael. His white father had left when Michael was just 2 years old, unable to deal with the judgment he faced for marrying a black woman in their small town. That abandonment had left scars, but Gloria never let bitterness take root in her heart. Instead, she worked tirelessly, cleaning houses, scrubbing floors, ironing clothes, anything that put food on the table. The wealthy families she worked for treated her like she was invisible, sometimes even less than that. She endured racist remarks, mocking smiles, and the constant reminder that in their eyes she was just a maid, but at home she was everything. She was the rock, the guide, the light that pushed Michael forward. When he wanted to quit school because kids bullied him, she would sit him down at their wobbly kitchen table, hold his hands and say, "Baby, you are worth more than they will ever admit. Don't let their words define you. Let your success do the talking." Those words became the fire in Michael's heart. Victoria Hale was the woman Michael thought he wanted to marry. She was blonde, blue-eyed, always dressed like she had just stepped out of a fashion magazine. Coming from a wealthy family, Victoria had never known hunger, never worried about bills, and never felt the sting of prejudice. When Michael first met her, he was dazzled by her confidence. She spoke about high society, charity galas, and designer clothes with ease. To him, she represented everything he thought he had been missing, a way to finally fit into the world that once rejected him. But Victoria's beauty came with poison. Her sharp tongue, her arrogance, and her obsession with appearances often unsettled Michael. She made jokes about people from poor neighborhoods, rolled her eyes when she saw interracial couples, and once even told Michael he should be grateful she was marrying someone from his background. Michael brushed those comments aside, convincing himself that love would soften her edges. But deep down, he ignored the warning signs. After years of grinding in the city, Michael had finally returned to his small hometown. He wanted to surprise his mother with the news of his engagement, and also to show her the life he had built. The drive down the old dirt road stirred memories. He remembered walking it barefoot as a boy, carrying groceries with his mother. He remembered neighbors whispering about them because his mom was black and his dad was gone. He remembered the nights Gloria skipped meals just so he could eat. Now, as his sleek black Mercedes rolled over the same road, he felt pride swell in his chest. He couldn't wait to see Gloria's face when she learned her son was no longer the poor boy from the broken-down house. But as he approached the driveway, that pride turned into confusion. Before he even turned off the engine, Michael heard raised voices. At first, he thought maybe it was a neighbor arguing, but the words grew clearer. It was Victoria. Her sharp, mocking tone carried across the yard, slicing through the summer air. And then he heard his mother's name. Michael's stomach twisted. Why was Victoria at his mother's house alone? He had told her he needed to handle business in town. She wasn't supposed to come here yet. Heart pounding, he stepped out of the car and moved closer to the porch. Michael froze in disbelief. On the porch of the weathered wooden house he grew up in stood Victoria, her designer heels tapping against the floorboards, her arms crossed in superiority. And opposite her, standing small but dignified, was his mother. But it wasn't just words. Michael's eyes widened as he saw Victoria shove Gloria backward. His mother stumbled, catching herself on the old rocking chair that creaked under the weight. Michael's world tilted. Rage boiled in his chest. Victoria's words seared the air like acid. You should be grateful I even let you stay in this dump. Without me, your son would still be nothing. Just some poor boy with a maid for a mother. Gloria clutched her arm, standing tall despite the humiliation. Her silence was powerful, but the quiet pain in her eyes was unmistakable. Michael's fists clenched at his sides. Memories flooded back. The time his mother walked him to school, and a white parent pulled their child away, whispering, "Don't go near them." The time Gloria was denied service at a diner, but told Michael to eat anyway. The nights she told him, "Son, one day they'll see who you really are." And now this, his own fiancée, the woman he thought he loved, standing on that very porch, degrading the woman who gave him everything. Michael's chest heaved with silent fury. He stayed still, watching, his jaw tight. He needed to see how far Victoria's cruelty would go before stepping in. And then she said the words that shattered everything. "No wonder you cling to him so much. You're just an old black maid hoping to live off your son's success." Pathetic. Gloria's eyes filled with tears, but she held her chin high. Michael's decision was already made. His life, his engagement, his future, all of it was about to change in that moment. Michael's chest was pounding like a war drum. For years he had built his empire thinking wealth and success would protect him from the ugliness of his past. But in this moment, money meant nothing. This wasn't about riches or status. This was about the one woman who had carried him through fire, and the fiancé who just spat on everything he stood for. He stepped forward, his voice sharp like thunder breaking a storm. "What did you just say to my mother?" Both women froze. Gloria's eyes widened in relief and fear. Relief that her son was there, fear that his temper might explode. Victoria, on the other hand, whipped around, her painted smile faltering for the first time. "Michael! I didn't know you were here," she stammered, her face flushing red. But Michael's gaze was locked on her, cold and unrelenting. Victoria adjusted her designer jacket nervously, trying to regain her composure. "Baby, listen, you're misunderstanding. I was just..." trying to help your mom understand boundaries. She can't live like this forever, in a falling apart shack. If she really loves you, she should want you to move on from all this. She gestured around the porch with disgust. The chipped paint, the sagging steps, the old rocking chair that had held Gloria through nights of exhaustion. Her tone shifted to condescension, her eyes darting toward Gloria. I mean, let's be real, Michael. You've outgrown this world. And her. She doesn't belong in your life at the level you're at now. The words hit like bullets. Gloria stood silently, her hands clasped tightly together. She didn't need to speak. Her dignity spoke louder than any argument. But Michael saw the tremor in her fingers, the way her chin quivered as she fought to hold back tears. All her life, Gloria had endured racism from strangers, employers, neighbors, but to face it from the woman who was supposed to be part of her son's future, that cut deeper than any wound. Michael stepped closer to his mother, placing himself between her and Victoria, like a shield. His voice lowered, trembling with emotion. You put your hands on her? You pushed my mother? Victoria hesitated, then scoffed. Oh, come on, Michael. Don't exaggerate. She's being dramatic. I just wanted her to realize she can't keep dragging you down. You're a millionaire now. You deserve better than... She stopped herself, but the venom was already out. Michael's face hardened, his jaw clenching so tight, his teeth ached. All the memories of his childhood humiliation came rushing back. The whispers about being the maid's son, the jokes about being a half-breed, the countless times his mother was told she didn't belong. Now the woman he had planned to marry was spitting the same poison. You think my mother is dragging me down? His voice cracked with fury. Everything I am, everything, is because of her. The late nights she worked, the food she skipped so I could eat, the way she taught me to fight when the world told me I wasn't good enough. Without her, I'd be nothing. Nothing! Victoria flinched at the intensity of his words, but tried to hold her ground. You're emotional. You're not seeing the bigger picture? I just want what's best for us. For our future, Michael stepped forward, his finger pointing directly at her. No, Victoria. You want what's best for you. And what you just showed me is ugly. I won't have a wife who looks down on my mother because of the color of her skin or the size of her house. By now, neighbors had peeked out from their porches, drawn by the shouting. Some stood with crossed arms, others whispered behind their hands. For years, many of them had judged Gloria in silence. Now they were watching as the truth spilled out. Victoria noticed the eyes on her and panicked. She tried to switch tactics, plastering on a fake smile. Michael, honey, you know I didn't mean it like that. I'm sorry if it came out wrong. Your mom is... She's fine. I was just upset, that's all. But Michael wasn't buying it. He turned to the crowd, his voice booming. Y'all want to know something? This woman right here, my mother, worked in half your houses. She scrubbed your floors, washed your dishes, raised your kids, while you treated her like she was less than human. And she still held her head high. She's more of a queen than any of you will ever know. Gasps rippled through the neighborhood. Gloria's eyes filled with tears. This time, not of shame, but of pride. Victoria's mask cracked. Her voice rose, sharp and bitter. Michael, you're making a mistake. You can't throw away everything we have because of this. She's nothing but a maid. Don't you see? People laugh at you behind your back. They say you're trying to buy your way into a world you'll never belong to. And with her around, they'll always see you as less." Silence fell like a hammer. Gloria inhaled sharply, her hand clutching her chest. But Michael didn't waver. His eyes burned as he whispered, almost to himself, "They laughed at me once. But they're not laughing now. And if you can't respect the woman who gave me life, then you don't belong in it." He pulled the engagement ring from his pocket, staring at it for a long moment before letting it fall to the ground. The tiny sparkle disappeared into the dirt. Victoria's face went pale. You can't be serious. You'd throw away everything for her?" Michael turned to his mother and wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm finally protecting what matters." The fight drained out of Victoria's eyes. She looked around, realizing the neighbors were still watching, whispering. For the first time in her life, she wasn't the admired one. She was the villain. Her cheeks flushed crimson as she grabbed her purse. "You'll regret this, Michael. You'll regret choosing her over me." She stormed off, her heels clacking against the wooden porch, each step echoing her downfall. Her luxury car roared to life and sped off down the dirt road, leaving behind nothing but dust. Michael exhaled, the tension leaving his body in waves. He turned to Gloria, who was trembling silently. "Mom," he whispered, his voice breaking, "I'm so sorry you had to hear that." To live through it, Gloria cupped his face with her rough, calloused hands. "You don't apologize, baby. You stood up for me. That's all I've ever wanted." Tears blurred Michael's vision as he hugged her tightly, the years of struggle, sacrifice, and love wrapping around him like a shield. For the first time in a long time, he felt whole. The dust had barely settled. The roar of Victoria's car was gone, leaving behind silence, broken only by the chirping of crickets and the soft creak of Gloria's rocking chair. Michael sat on the porch steps, his elbows on his knees, his head heavy with thought. He had dreamed of a perfect life, wealth, success, a loving wife. But tonight proved that dream had cracks too deep to hide. Behind him, Gloria moved gently in her chair. Her dark skin glowed in the porch light, and her tired but steady eyes rested on her son. She could see the battle raging inside him. "Baby," she said softly, her voice like a lullaby from years past. "Sometimes God lets storms shake our lives, so the weak branches fall away. That girl wasn't for you. You see that now, don't you?" Michael nodded, but his throat was tight. "I see it, Mom. And I hate that I didn't see it sooner. She looked at you like you were nothing, and I almost let her into our family." Gloria leaned forward, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "She saw me the way the world's seen me all my life. As less. But what matters is that you didn't let her voice become your truth. That's what makes the difference." The next morning, word of the confrontation had spread through town like wildfire. At the local diner, whispers floated over coffee cups. "Did you hear Michael's fiancée called his mama a maid? Lord, and he threw her out on the spot? Good for him. That woman always thought she was too good for folks around here." For the first time in years, many neighbors looked at Gloria with something close to respect. They had seen her strength in silence, her dignity in the face of cruelty. Now they were forced to reckon with the fact that the woman they once dismissed was the backbone of Michael's empire. Gloria, however, carried herself the same as always. She didn't gloat, didn't boast. She walked through town with her head high, her Sunday hat perched firmly, her faith unshaken. Meanwhile, in her luxury condo across town, Victoria's world was crumbling. Her phone buzzed with unanswered calls from friends who had seen the confrontation on social media. Photos and videos neighbors had secretly recorded were spreading fast. Headlines popped up on gossip blogs. Millionaire breaks engagement after fiancé's racist outburst. Victoria's fall from grace. Her endorsements, her invitations to charity galas, even her job prospects, everything began slipping away. In desperation, she called Michael over and over, leaving voicemails dripping with fake tears. "Michael, please, I didn't mean it. You're throwing away our future over one little mistake. Don't let your mother ruin this for us." But Michael never picked up. Each time he heard her voice, he remembered the look in his mother's eyes, the quiet pain that cut deeper than any insult. A week later, Michael invited Gloria to his corporate headquarters for the first time. The towering glass building gleamed in the morning sun, a symbol of everything he had worked for. Gloria stepped inside nervously, her modest church dress standing out against the sleek suits and polished shoes of his employees. Some stared, others whispered. But Michael didn't care. He led her to the top floor, the office with the skyline view. "Mom," he said, standing tall, "this is all yours too. Every late night you worked, every tear you shed, every prayer you whispered, it built this. I want the world to know it." Gloria's eyes filled with tears. "Baby, I don't need credit. I just need to know you're happy, that you're living right." Michael smiled, his voice firm. "I am happy because I've got you. And I'll make sure no one ever treats you as less again." Months passed. Victoria tried one last desperate move. She filed a lawsuit claiming she was owed part of Michael's fortune for emotional distress. The case made headlines. But when the court heard the recordings of her racist words, neighbors had captured everything. Her case collapsed in shame. The judge dismissed her with a warning. "You cannot profit from your cruelty." The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Gloria sat quietly in the back, her hands folded, her dignity shining brighter than any verdict. Victoria stormed out, her once glamorous life now reduced to scandals and closed doors. She had lost everything because of the hatred in her own heart. Back at the farmhouse, Gloria stood on the porch once again, this time with Michael beside her. He had invested money into restoring the old home, fresh paint on the walls, new steps leading up, the rocking chair polished but still steady. But the heart of the home remained the same. "Do you see this, Mom?" Michael asked, his voice thick with emotion. "I could have bought you a mansion, but I wanted to fix this place. Because this porch, this house, it's where you made me who I am. This is our legacy." Gloria's tears fell freely as she gripped his hand. "Legacy isn't the house, baby. It's the love you carry forward. And you've done that. You've done more than I ever dreamed." In the end, Michael didn't just defend his mother. He restored her honor in a world that tried to strip it away. Victoria thought love could be bought, that success meant leaving the past behind. But Michael proved that true wealth was measured in loyalty, gratitude, and the courage to stand against hate. Gloria's story was one of survival, dignity, and unshakable love. And though society had tried to label her as just a maid, her legacy would live on, not in whispers of shame, but in the strength of the son she raised. Because money fades, Mansions crumble, but a mother's love, tested through fire and racism, becomes a fortune no one can ever steal.